Hi guys, Harry Yotis here. I've been a professional trader for 20 years now, started in 2005, and still alive, surviving these markets in 2026. Let's get started with our daily market update. This is a chart of the S&P 500. This is Monday, starting strong as suspected. January 12th, 2026, finishes at all-time highs. Okay, the SPY is at 695. Huge. Okay. Big news of the day is the global resource war heats up. Okay. Trump comes out of the weekend, starts talking tough with Iran as we expected he would after the Venezuela move. Okay. But before we get to the global resource war, let's talk about the technical picture. As always, that's what we do in the beginning to set a tone for the market. Okay. Bullish. Technical picture is bullish. We are closing above the moving averages still. Don't even have to bring them up. Now, price action is above all moving averages. Okay. And every moving average is short term, second short term, medium term, second to medium, and long term, all above each other. Super bullish setup. Nothing. RSI still neutral, plenty of room to go up. So we don't need the moving averages. It's obvious that we're in a bullish market, okay? Yet people are still relatively scared. I don't know, let's see. So the bullishness is still there in terms of the technical picture, but what about the sentiment? We always pair them together. Fear and greed index. Finally, we're getting into the border of greed. I wouldn't even call this greed yet. Okay, I wouldn't even call this 1 day of greed yet. So we're at 1 day of greed barely. Okay, all the sub indices, this one's greed. Momentum is starting to get greedy, but everything else is still at fearful. Even put call ratio is at extreme fear still. I don't know, people are still scared of the highs, but we're getting into the territory where people are starting to get greedy, which is perfect for us bulls. We're only going to get worried when we see the greed and the extreme greed stay at these levels for like weeks. Okay, so we're not there yet, but we're getting there. Okay, so technical picture bullish, sentiment is bullish because it's not that bullish, and let's move on to the big news of the day. Okay, the global resource war heats up. Okay, over the weekend, what happens? Trump weighs potential military intervention in Iran. Oh my! We speculated that after he attacks Venezuela, which is basically to cut off China from heavy oil, which it desperately needs, and of which Venezuelan crude from the Orinoco belt makes up a big percentage of its imports, meaning China, is left with only one option for its heavy oil, and that is a secondary option of Iran. Okay, Iran is now the only place that China can get its quote-unquote heavier oil, because China doesn't need light sweet crude. It needs heavy oil for a variety of reasons, mainly for asphalt and to build its economy, because it's still in its growth stage and its refineries are set up for heavy oil. So it needs that more so than it needs diesel and, let's say, jet fuel or even gasoline. So it is disproportionately more dependent on heavy oil than even the States. Okay, so this is a big news. Okay, so what happens when you have this global resource war? It really wants the U.S. and China are really in a global resource war, and not just for oil, okay, but for all critical metals. And that's why we have, the global resource war. We always start with gold and precious metals. Okay, gold is ripping to new highs. We mentioned, why are people still bearish? Gold is at almost $4,600 an ounce. Okay, starting to get overbought. Although I don't care. When you're in a trend, overbought means nothing. It's still being bought by foreign central banks. Do you think Trump threatening Iran is going to make China, the BRICS, i.e. Russia and everybody else, not buy gold? No, it's not happening. Okay, so this is why gold has a perpetual bid under it. It's a fundamentally strong move. It's a strong move, fundamentally driven. Okay, and that's not going to change in the foreseeable future. What happened to silver, of course, critical metal and precious metal together. This volatility is not helping out the shorts. Everybody thinks that after this big candle here that it broke, the big move broke. No, the fundamentals still haven't changed, and we haven't seen any news why it would, especially after this Trump saber rattling, if you will, trying to start war with Iran without even consolidating Venezuela victory. Okay, I think he thinks, he just assumes he won Venezuela, not having thought that you have to actually put boots on the ground and like occupy a country. It's not a 5 hour event. Beating a country is not a 5 hour event. It could be a quagmire. Okay, so whatever you think of this administration, it's going to be good for precious metals. Okay, and a little side note: the way to play the precious metals now, like if you haven't been following the channel for the past year or two, I've been pounding the table on precious metals. You should be long. Right now, you're riding it. You're waiting for pullbacks to enter. You don't buy it right now. You wait for pullbacks to enter. Okay, because now I'm just riding my positions. This is where you like look to see where you can exit a little bit. But right now, in terms of gold and silver, wait for pullbacks. And the big, I kept saying it for a while, I'm going to bring it up again. The big opportunity is the GDXJ. Okay, GDXJ ripped today to new highs to 126. But let's bring in the monthly chart to show you why it's the big opportunity. Okay, this is the monthly high of GDXJ from December 10th, December of 2010, 2011. The halcyon highs of the bull market, because people thought QE was going to be very inflationary. It turned out not to be. It is for assets, but not for consumer goods. But now, as gold has got into highs, look at this. Okay, the juniors are not even close to their highs and breaking it. I think the juniors from 126 to 179 is still a good move, and probably breaks higher to 200 plus. Okay, 200. Between 200 and 250 is where I'm looking at it. Okay, so that's it. Like the big opportunity for the gold space is in the juniors. And for silver, it's not really in the juniors, because the juniors have already made the highs. Look at the monthly chart. Okay, you have to have already been in it. And the other one is the majors. That's at highs. Okay, the silver majors is where the opportunity is in silver right now. Believe it or not, it's the exact opposite. Flip the script. Okay, so those the opportunity for silver is in silver miners and the majors, not the juniors, and the opportunity for gold is in GDXJ and select few juniors. If you don't know how to value a junior company, we went through this in a previous report. You can check it out. But if you don't know, it takes a little bit more of expertise. Best to buy the GDXJ outright. Okay, but that's not the only global resource war. Oops, I'm in the monthly chart. Let's go to daily. Okay, that's not the only global resource that is, being fought over. Okay, we have gold and silver. We also have rare earths. Okay, remember our UUUU trade? UUUU, once it broke these levels, we're still long. We're expecting to ride it even higher. This is rare earths and uranium together, but the pure rare earths play in the US would be MP materials, and that seems to go up. Okay, now I've been touting global resource war for 2 years now. Okay, but you have to know that resources and commodities in general operate very differently than stocks. Okay, you have to see here, like, look, MP, once the news came out, it was around these levels in July, the summer of 2025. The news meaning that Trump is going to onshore rare earth production in the States, and it's going to really give it investment. Defense Department is going to give an investment to MP Materials, so this is their leader. Okay, the stock could literally go up. It went up from like $31 to $100. Okay, but look, it also dropped to 51. Okay, just because in the global resource war, especially when you're dealing with commodities, you should realize, you should know through experience that 50% drops in bull markets on certain commodities and the companies that mine them is normal. Okay, you have multiple 50% drops within bull markets. Okay, in fact, you can time your watch on it. Once it goes to 100, buy it at 50, and it'll go back up again, because we're still in the global resource war. So I think this MP is going to continue to move. I'm still long. This is a key level here, the 60 to 65. It could retest the 82 level, which is the previous high in the summer of 2025, and even the $100 level. I think that's where it goes. This is for rare earths. Okay, I like MP and UUUU for rare earths, but you also have an outlier here. I also have a position in UAMY, which is antimony. Antimony is a very rare metal used for strengthening alloys. Look at that move. once it broke these levels here, the $3, $4, $5, it ran to 20. Okay, but look, it even went lower than 10, lower than a 50% move, and still ripping higher today. Today it's up like almost 12% move. Okay, you have to wait till you get a technical breakout, which was around the 650 level. Okay, I'm still holding. Okay, I got in around these levels. Okay, once this spike came up, down loss, doesn't matter, it's part of the game, but I'm still holding it. Okay, so that's it, guys. Let's reiterate. Okay, SPY bullish, going into all-time highs, and will continue to go high in my view. Okay, because we have sentiment that hasn't even gone into the greed level yet, and we're not positioned for a very, we're not positioned as if everybody is max euphoric long. Okay, so that's why I still think we're going to keep going higher. We're going to pull back for sure. This doesn't go straight up. Okay, but, you know, right now, if I was, I'm already long, but if I wasn't, I would wait for a pullback to get in. Okay. Second, the global resource war, we played with gold and silver. Gold ripping higher. If you're not in, you have to wait for a pullback. Same with silver. Any pullback is buyable, in my opinion. But the place to be in this space right now, it's not through the metals. For gold is GDXJ. Plenty of room to go to the 179 highs. I'm going to bring up the monthly chart again. Plenty of room to go to here, the 179 highs, and probably higher in the 200 to 250 ranges where I see it going. Okay, let's go back to the daily. And for the silver market, I like the silver majors because they are, this blue horizontal line is the previous high. Okay, they are at their previous 2011 highs. Look, you can go back to the monthly chart again and show you right there. The 2011 highs is why I drew this horizontal level. It's important. Okay, so for silver, it's the SIL, the silver majors, and for gold is GDXJ. Other rare earths, let's go into the daily. Other rare earths, other resources that I like are the rare earths, which is UUUU. It broke above here, great move, still holding. And MP, the market leader, I suspect it goes higher. Okay, and of course, a little outside play on the resource game, Antimony, UAMY. So that's it, guys. Thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, of course, like and subscribe and leave a comment below, and I will get to it as soon as I can. So looking forward to this week, the global resource war heating up, and for this market to go up higher as the days go on. And of course, don't forget, this is OPEX week, options expiry on Friday, which should be another high volume event to look forward to. All right, later, guys.